Well, we've got a really easy ride for you today, and it's running around the coast of Kent, and we go past some quite varied scenery. There's not very many hills, and it's a wonderful time. So this is where we're based. So we're right over around Sandwich and Broadstairs, working our way up almost to Margate, and then our next ride is going to continue along the top, along the north coast. But we're going to start in Sandwich, we're going to head around Sandwich Bay, up towards Broadstairs, and then we're getting to Kingsgate, and then at that point we turned around. We went to visit somebody in Kingsgate, so we're going to turn around and come back, and then the following day we go back up in that direction, and we carry on from there all the way along to Herne Bay. So it's a very easy journey that we're doing today. And I'd like you to take this opportunity just while we're here to click on the like and subscribe buttons so that you can be informed of the new rides that we're doing. And so if you want to make sure that you're always there, then click the little bell icon as well. But we'd love you to click like and subscribe most of all. It helps us to get going on this channel, gives us a bit of encouragement. So just as a word of warning, we do have a little bit of urban riding that's present here within as we get in towards Broadstairs, so be a little bit careful. You have to go around the edge of the town. The roads are really quite busy, but then you'll soon get down to the cliffs and the beach, and there's plenty of way along. So we started at Fishing Lakes in Sandwich, heading our way through Sandwich around to the bay, which is great for wildlife. It is a national nature reserve, and then we head around the edge of the coastal path. Now this is where it's a little bit urban, but some great views, and then we're down onto the seafront really down here, and it's wonderful views, and you just cycle right really way along underneath the cliffs, but we went back up to the top and rose up past the castle, and that's quite reasonably steep, but it's not that much climb really. And then we went to visit friends and then turned round and headed back, and it was getting late, so we took a slightly different route going home. This is an amazing front gate that somebody had, so we took a slightly different route home just so that we could avoid other bits and pieces, and that's the one-way system in Sandwich that takes you through there. So 400 feet of climb is nothing much at all. So here we go, we're leaving. Do be very careful on this first main road as you head into Sandwich, there's some quite nasty roads full of quite big cars, but once you've crossed the main roundabout, then it's pretty easy. Get over the railway line here, and it suddenly goes very much more quiet as you head towards Sandwich. Part of the reason for that is there's almost nowhere to park once you get in there. The streets are so narrow, it's virtually a one-way system. This is a great place here where you go across the bridge and you get wonderful views of the river, and we're heading out really around the edge of the town. Now this is a major road, but it's actually a cycle route down the side, which we just didn't happen to be on it, but on the right hand side there's a bit of a cycle route. And now we're back on properly onto the cycle path here and following our way along. Not particularly pretty at this stage. You're going past warehouses. I remember years ago when this was all fields, but it's all been completely redeveloped, and certainly Broadstairs and the surrounding area of Sandwich is completely disappearing. So we cross over past the garage and work our way along. So the sea's onto our right, but you can see we get back onto the cycle track, and now we're following around the coastal path route. On our right there is the beginnings of Sandwich Bay. So it's a pretty easy route. You'll notice it's very level, and we get to see the bay there. Loads of wild birds and other things to keep your eye open if that's what you're after. Just a little bit of a chicane around here, and then when we get into the town here we do have to actually leave the sea for a little while, but we're working our way in through all the people, and now we sort of head inland a little bit and through quite a lot of fields, and they were redeveloping, but there's a new cycle track being built, so this is a new bit of cycle path, and we follow our way along. When I say it's a new path, it's an old farm road I think, or military road from the last war, may have even been a bit of an airfield. And then we follow our way around through a gate, and people always seem to park in the entrance, and now this is where we get urban, and we follow our way up. A little bit of a hill here actually, but not too much. So we're now on the sort of the southern parts of Broadstairs, and we're working our way into the town, and now we hit the coastal route, and so we're following along. It's very peaceful. You see that we've got the cycle route has got an up and a down on it, so we can follow our way through the sea on our right, past some quite interesting buildings. And even though we were there at the end of October, it was very warm and sunny. So here you can see that we were out looking over the harbour, and it was really nice, but we had a decision to make at this point, in that you can see that's quite a busy road, and although we follow around here, where we wanted to be was up. So we took a little bit of a route around this point and followed it out through the town. But when we came back, we took a slightly different pathway. So at this point, you can see we now headed up around the town and up and over the top. And that was not very pleasant really, because that little bit of road there is, although it doesn't appear to be busy at the moment, it actually got very busy. And now we hit the top here, and we can follow along the cycle track which runs along at the top. And now we got back onto the main road. I think there might have been a bit of cycle path below, but here it goes through a park. This is the main cycle track, and now we head along the cliff tops. And then soon we have to go through a private estate, so we do need to be aware that not all of this is public roads. But you could see the sea on our right, and built onto the side, loads of parking around this area, although I don't know if it's on a meter or not. Now at this point we're heading into the town, and we start to head through the edge of the town. And now we're back towards the seafront. It's really busy here with people, and at this point we had to carry our bike down some stairs, probably because we got it wrong. And now we're back at the seafront and along the cycle track. Now from now on, for quite a long way, the cycle track literally follows along underneath the cliffs, and it's dead smooth. It's concrete all the way, really easy to move, and you can see the cliffs covered in all sorts of wildlife and other things. We came here once before, just beyond where we're about to stop. We didn't realise that it was a nudist beach, and it was a very, very strange experience to suddenly find yourself stopping and having lunch in the middle of all that lot. But here we go, we're rising up now above the sea level around, and now we're heading in, and this is where we start to get towards a bit of a private estate. So we're not really welcomed in this little section here. So we had our way through, past some very nice houses, through that little gate, and it's all very private here. And then along the edge of that area, we can see this track does carry on. I'm pretty sure it's still the formal cycle road. And then up this hill, right up to the top, which gives us fantastic views over, and now we're back onto the main cycle track, and you can see we're following along here, and views aren't quite so good because the hedge was really high. They do cut it back at other times, but now we're heading towards the castle, and you can see the Captain Digby looking back. That's the Captain Digby's a pub, and it looks back over the castle there at the top. And now we stay quite high, we turn right and follow our way back along the cliff top path, and there's some great views here that can be had. So we kept stopping every now and then, having a bit of a look around and a talk and a drink, and then work our way through. Now be careful, at certain times of the day there's a lot of people that are using their walking their dogs and other things. So we get to this point, and this is where we went to visit some friends down in Kingsgate, and we stayed there for a little while. And then at the end of the day we started to cycle back. So here is the turnaround, and we'll run this pretty quickly all the way back, taking a slightly different route. You'll notice it's a little bit easier to go back because we're going downhill. Sandwich is just about as low as you can get at sea level, so generally it's going to be downhill on the way home. The problem is partly that the sun is setting in the west and we're heading east, and it does get quite dark. You're in the shade of trees and other things for part of it. So this first bit's okay, but soon it's going to start to get dark. So I think we'll stop it at this point and I'll speed it up so that we can get to the end quicker. So here we are heading back, and it's just got to be a bit careful because there are a lot of cars around at this time and a lot of people were walking. I think because Broadstairs has quite a lot of elderly in it, they like to go out for a walk last thing in the evening before it starts to get dark. This is the land of Dickens as well, so we've got all sorts of celebrations of that. Now at this point we start to head back, and you can see the sun is getting low and it starts to get quite dark, so make sure you've got some lights if you're there in the evening. This was, say, the end of October, beginning of November. The clocks had changed and it was still staggeringly warm. That's what I think probably caught my attention most of all, the fact that we didn't get cold. So we descend now down through that raised bit. We're taking a slightly different path though, down along the seafront, through the harbour, and now through the slightly less salubrious part, underneath the cliff. And there are a couple of nutters driving around at high speed, pulling donuts around the roundabout there. But now we head back up to the top of the cliff and cycle off into the sunset. This is that gateway that we saw. Very strange that an ordinary domestic house should have a gate quite like that, but we found it interesting. So you can see now I've put the headlamp on and we're working our way back, retracing our steps that we had before. So this last bit, I must admit, wasn't pleasant, but you can do this really just on the outward journey, and maybe that would have been a better video if we just combined this and the next trip, made it into something like a 100 mile circular trip. So this is the summary of the route. We started just outside Sandwich, which is where the main cycle track goes. You have to come inland at that point, and then worked our way round to Broadstairs, and then the next one we're going to go all the way over to Herne Bay along the top. So if you want the GPX of this route, very simple. You can see it, download it from the side and load it straight into your Wahoo or your Garmin. But it's been really lovely to join you again. I'm sorry it's been a little while, but all the best, and look forward to joining you on the next ride. Until then, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the bell button for more information, and we will see you in a couple of weeks, maybe hopefully a couple of days, and join you in the next one. Take care. Bye.